And I now want to invite Sharon Slentz to share a few words with you, and then I will share some words too.
Good morning. Good morning. I was standing up here as a member just a couple of years ago, and Reverend Nica asked me to share. Am I making noise? Reverend Nica asked me to share what this faith means to me. So what is faith? In my 20s, I was a Christian evangelical missionary, and my faith was my life. Do I need to speak louder? Yes. I was deeply devoted to the truth. And after a dark night of the soul, when I asked and wrestled with many deep questions, I left that faith, that truth. Then, as I found myself free to search, to learn, to ask about every religion, every philosophy, I found myself in a place of simple delight. I was a kid in a candy shop. And that's when I found Unitarian Universalism. And I knew I was home. These were my people. Or as someone said, a newcomer to Chalice just last week, I found my tribe. Now, this tribe has a very different definition of faith than the faith that I had when I was a young adult. With this being New Member Sunday, it's fitting to share with you the words that come right at the beginning of Starting Point. And if you don't know what Starting Point is, it is a series of 3 classes that familiarizes newcomers with the history and values of Chalice and Unitarian Universalism. One of the first things we learn in Starting Point is that UUs see religion as a way of being and journeying through the world rather than a set of beliefs to which one assents. Instead of seeing ourselves as providing people with the correct answers to religious questions, UU congregations offer people companions for life's journey and tools to walk one's life with more depth and greater connection. Those words are precious to me. I want to share that last bit again. UU congregations offer people companions for life's journey and tools to walk one's life path with more depth and greater connection. That is why I am here. My heart longed for companions to walk the path on this journey we call life. And when I was new in this area just a couple of years ago, I stepped in with trepidation, wondering, am I going to find companions here? And I still pinch myself, but I have, in abundance. I hold dear this sense of family that we can find with spiritual travelers. In a community where we share values, where we learn, where we share deeply, where we have fun, where we celebrate, where we recognize and commemorate, where we grieve, where we hold, where we heal. But do we hoard that gem? Just keep it here in these walls. Chalice is a community where love is at the center of our values. These values that we read about just last week, we read aloud, of pluralism, generosity, justice, interdependence, equity, transformation, and love. These values shine out from our community and touch a hurting world. Love in action. I want to share something else from Starting Point. I love Starting Point. UUs believe that in the midst of serving needs greater than our own, those needs mysteriously become our needs, our struggle, our pain. Being of service to others alters our sense of self. Our wider sense of concern connects us to the larger we, the larger interdependent web of which we are all a part. Think of how often we comment on service projects by saying, I got more out of this than I gave. In short, service is the doorway to an expanded self. That is why UUs often refer to justice work as transforming both the world and ourselves. This hurting world desperately needs what we have to share. There are folks that come through this door wondering, is this a place that I can call home? It is. It's also an incubator where we experience connections with people and ideas that rejuvenate us and fill us up so full that it can't help but spill outside these doors. I want to share one last bit from Starting Point. Because I was told what to believe when I was young in a way that trapped my spirit to particular truths. This expresses maybe what is most precious to me about this faith. In Unitarian Universalism, we believe that revelation is not sealed. In other words, there is no one final truth. Instead, we believe that truth is always evolving. As we see it, our beliefs have their own journey. They change and grow over time, just as our experience and needs change and grow. New experience reveals and creates new truth. I had happy tears in my eyes when I first read this. It took me way back to explaining to my young son that our beliefs had changed. And I explained our journey in words that he could understand. I told him that the old things, we thought the old things were true, and many of them were, but we learned more. And then he said in his sweet, high-pitched voice and lisp, "Oh yeah, it was a truth on a way to a bigger truth." I couldn't have said it better myself. I am so blessed to have you as companions on this journey to a bigger truth.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for those beautiful words. So, my friends, last week I was flying home 30,000 feet up in the air, and I turned to my neighbor only to find out that they were a minister too. I know, unusual, right? He was a Southern Baptist preacher. So I wasn't sure I wanted him to find out what kind of minister I was, thinking that he would likely condemn my theology. And of course, I couldn't resist asking what he thought about Southern Baptists banning women clergy, and found myself listening with curiosity as he leapfrogged his way through that minefield in front of a woman minister and his daughter who was sitting next to him. But he also talked enthusiastically about his mission work and all the children he and his wife fostered, and how much he loved church planting all around the world. And when I asked him what he loved about church planting, he told me it wasn't so much about creating converts or sharing what Baptists believe, but rather that it came from his profound love and gratitude for Jesus and the difference that the love of Jesus could make in people's lives. And I could tell that his passion was about love and not wanting people to miss out on that love. And he felt strongly that if he didn't share about this love with people, that he'd be cheating them of something very beautiful. He'd be robbing people of the most transformative thing he'd found in life. Well, that got me thinking. Because our faith is all about love, isn't it? Not necessarily the love spiritual teachers or prophets have for us, or even for some of us, the love of God, but love in action. Love at the heart of all we do. Love as a guiding light for everything. Love at the center of our faith, which is what our new UU values are focused around. They all stem from love as the inspiration. Love that welcomes all. Love that calls us to advocate for the most marginalized and oppressed, love that works for justice and equity for all, love that asks us to communicate mindfully with one another, love that calls us to be kind and compassionate, love that serves others with an open heart, love that seeks transformation and asks us all to be the highest versions of ourselves, and love that embraces every single one of us as perfectly imperfect beings. Love that holds and heals and embraces us all. So, my friends, I ask you, isn't it rather selfish to keep that love to ourselves? Sure, we demonstrate that love with one another and when we're advocating for justice out in the world, but perhaps our actions should speak for themselves. But I know many of us are shy talking about this beautiful faith that we found, lest we look like evangelicals or proselytizers or put pressure on people. Am I right? But really, I mean, I've seen again and again over the years how people's lives have been transformed coming into this Unitarian Universalist faith. We see some people right here with us who've shared that with me. I know my life was transformed. Raise your hand if yours was transformed by coming into this faith. Look at that. And in some cases, people's lives have even been saved. Saved from despair, loneliness, grief and heartache, saved from poverty, from homelessness, from racism or violence, saved from meaninglessness, commercialized, soulless existences. People have found community, purpose, meaning, spirituality, and companionship in this faith. It is literally a life-saving, heart-filling, purpose-giving, transformational faith for so many. So, my friends, why wouldn't we share that gift, right? Some of you look dubious. There's enough love to go around for all of us and so many more. When we had a Bring a Friend to Chalice Sunday last month, only 1 or 2 of you brought friends. But what if you realize that not sharing Unitarian Universalism and what we do here at Chalice is actually depriving your friends of something very unique and special, of something that could possibly change their lives for the better? What if you really look deep in your hearts to recognize what this faith and community mean to you, and then ask yourselves whether it's stingy of you to keep it to yourselves? I know I'm going right out there today, but I feel passionate about this because it's easy to forget what a precious gift this faith is. I think we take it for granted. I know I do sometimes. So I challenge us to be generous with sharing our faith. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Sharon just shared with you what an impact it's had on her. And I remember her telling me that she cried tears of belonging when she first discovered us. And I'm guessing that there are many more Sharons out there who would love what we have to offer. Not quite as amazing as Sharon, but I know there are many others out there. People who would find hope, purpose, connection, and belonging in our community. And we see it in our wonderful new members here today and those of you who are just discovering us. You're so excited to have found this loving community, this free-thinking, embracing, liberal religion. So, my beloveds, I call on us all to be generous with our faith, generous with the love that we have overflowing from our hearts, generous with our actions, generous with who we are and what we stand for. Because you never know. You might be saving or transforming someone's life by sharing Unitarian Universalism. And goodness knows, every single one of us could use more love. May it be so.